So my name is Jason Schull, and currently I would say my occupation is really miner / rock shop owner. I do a lot of self-collection and actual mining on 3 claims that I have in Idaho. If you do a little bit of research, you'll find some rockhounding books. It's pretty amazing in some of them. There'll actually be a map and there'll be 60 to 100 spots all over the whole state. The spots, generally speaking, are not small. You don't go, when someone's talking about a spot that you have to go to collect, typically it's not a tiny location that you have to find and you have to be perfect and find that exact spot. It's actually a gigantic area. Some of the time while you're exploring, you're not going to find anything, but some of the time you are. And you'll learn a lot about that big area. And that big area is the spot. And so that idea in and of itself is usually new to people, I think. So keep that in mind. One thing to note, if you're going to do books, always try to cross-reference an older version with a newer version. They have stuff in there sometimes that aren't in the newer books, that really awesome information, you know, some little pearls in there. However, they're not going to have the updated public-private land information. Well, you might get up there and there's a big gate across the road and it says you can no longer go there. You may encounter people's mining claims, like the mining claim that I have. It's a very difficult, long process to go through, and financially I have to make big commitments as well to hold those spots. And so I really don't want anyone going onto those spots and collecting. The way that you tell whether or not you're on a mining claim, most people don't know, is there'll be a big white post. It's usually about 4 feet tall, and it's supposed to be around 4 inches square. So it's very easy to see. You can see it from hundreds of yards away if it's a good one. It's difficult to know whether you're on or off. So if you see one, I would suggest just get a little distance, look around, make sure you don't see any in the area where you're at, and then go from there. Always be careful, since you're gonna be in isolated areas and things like that. Tell people if you're gonna go on a trip, try to go with other people. If you do go alone, take a dog or something with you if you can. Let people know when you're planning on being back, let people know where you're gonna go, those sorts of things, just in case you get turned around or something. I usually lay out sort of a schedule for the day. You know, this is what I want to get done today, and I try to end at that point. I know that I don't want to set that goal and then just go for it, because I'll meet it by noon. And then I'll set a new goal, and then I feel great at the end of the first day. I can't believe how much I got done. And then the next day or something, you know, I can't get going, or I'm in a position where I'm really stiff and I've got to get through a tight spot that's dangerous. I have to keep these things in my mind and not overdo it. People who've done it a lot always joke about making rules about getting to certain points in the trip before they allow themselves to put a rock in their pack. You start picking them up at the very beginning. I swear you see stuff in the parking lot that you want to keep, you know, and it's like you'll pick it up and put it on the bumper so that you don't take it with you all day. But once you head down that trail, the moment you see something you want, it goes in your pack and you're carrying it. You might still be on the way to where you're going. So there's a huge selection process involved, and you have to, I'll make little stashes. If I don't want to carry rocks, I'll take a photograph or whatever with coordinates, and I'll make a little stash and I'll camouflage it, because I might have 3 miles before I even get to the place where I want to go, and I want those stones. I'm not going to carry them all the way in there. Try to keep in mind that you can come back. It will be another trip, granted, but what happens to everyone is you tend to over collect at the beginning because you're so excited. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you're gonna end up with a lot of material that you don't want after you've done it a while. If it's there, it's gonna be there in the future. People have been doing this for centuries, really hard for decades. If you wander along now and find the spot with a bunch of stuff there, it's gonna be there. You know, you can take a few deep breaths and take the ones you really like, you know. I found an old claim once from, I swear, couldn't have been less than 60, 70. I mean, it was a long time. It could have been 100 years ago. It was like an iron stake that was welded into the ground, or that had been driven into the ground, you know, and it had a claim marker on it that was long, long gone. But there were piles of rocks that the miner had left there long ago, you know, where they had gone through the area of their claim and they'd stacked stuff up, you know, and whatnot, and they had piles of rocks to come back to get. And in terms of after you've made selections, I tend to look for things like cracks. You want to look around structurally. Don't just see the pretty rock. There's nothing worse than having your heart set on something and getting home and then realizing you didn't notice it literally comes apart while you're working on it and you don't have anything. It can be very inexpensive if you're going and collecting on your own. You can discover all kinds of things you didn't anticipate if you're going on trips to rock collect. People get into it, they discover this whole new world and they fall down the rabbit hole, so to speak. So I think that's actually kind of common. It's important if it's something that's exciting you or causing you that sense of wonder, you know, that young childlike sense of fascination. I encourage anybody to follow that. And if it happens to be rocks and going on rock hunts and stuff, definitely don't ignore that.